Hey, what's up everyone on YouTube and Twitter? So since the last video that we discussed the Bitcoin crash, a lot of things have happened, right? We had this huge move up, then this move down, and now this move back up. But overall, the prices are still actually higher from when that video was created. But of course, we had the news for the Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, Cardano, Digital Reserve. It caused the whole market to spike up and then eventually sold off. But if we look at this on the weekly time frame, this weekly time frame close, right, was very, very good. And it held up the whole day. Usually on a sell the news type of event, you'll get a pump up, and then within a few hours, it usually tends to sell off. But this held going into the weekly close, held up, but then ended up selling off on Monday, causing this to break back down. So on the weekly time frame, despite the current price action, the previous weekly close was very strong, but currently we now again have to watch this weekly close to see if it can close back above this support. This is around approximately the 91, 92K levels. So we'll watch to see if Bitcoin can do that. But for now, if we look at the 4-hour time frame, Bitcoin essentially, I had posted this on Saturday night, I believe. There was an inverse head and shoulders, and this ended up hitting its approximate target. If you take this from the high down to the low, from the head approximately, the approximate target was around where it hit. It basically was right on target. So it hit the target, then it fully retraced the entire move up essentially, then broke back down below this neckline as well as this support right here. This is around 85,000. Spent a few hours below it before breaking back above $85,000 earlier today and went up as high as approximately $89,000 before pulling back down to this support level once again. And we're currently seeing a bounce. So for Bitcoin, I think at this point, it's imperative for Bitcoin to at least hold above this support level. This currently sits around $86,000. It back tested it. But ultimately, you want to see it get through this level, right? This was the weekly close area that it had closed above. This is around approximately 89,000 to 92,000. If it was able to break back above this area, that would be a positive sign. So it's essentially in a range between 89,000 and then the support down here around 86,000. We'll have to wait for it to make a decision. Does it want to go up? Does it want to push back up to these highs? Or is it going to lose this support and then probably push back down to this low? And this low down here, this was from earlier today. This was around 81,500. If it were to lose this, it would essentially push back down to this low. And that probably would not be a good sign at that point, right? That'd be essentially another kind of lower low right here if it went below this one. And it probably would at that point favor that this is going to break down even further. So Bitcoin is definitely at some sort of decision point here. It needs to essentially make a decision. If we use the Fibonacci target, I had posted this also on X. You take this from the high down to the low. The target at least that should get back up to right here in the shorter term is around $90,000, 700. That would be the 0.618 retrace. So we'll see if it can push up there. If we use the 10 SMA and the 43 SMA, which I like using, Bitcoin is currently testing right below this 10 SMA. It had reclaimed it right and got almost up to this 43 SMA up here. This is the red line before pulling back and losing the 10 SMA. So this is another area for Bitcoin to kind of get over, right? It needs to get back above this 10 SMA and then eventually make it back above the 43 SMA for the first time in a very long time. The last time it was above the 43 SMA was way back here. This was in early February. So it's almost spent a month below this 43 SMA now at this point. So this is a long time. I don't think during this whole uptrend, this is probably the longest period where it hasn't gone back above it in a very long time. So Bitcoin needs to reclaim the 10 SMA and then make a push for the 43 SMA. And as we head into the weekly close once again on Sunday, it needs to get back above this area. Obviously, it's only Tuesday today, so there's plenty of time left for Bitcoin to make this move up and reclaim this area. It held it on last week's close. You could make a case that it was news-based, but there was plenty of time for it to kind of break back down because the announcement was in the morning, the weekly close was at nighttime. It held the whole time and actually pushed up the whole day. So we'll see if Bitcoin can push back up into the weekly close. And of course, a lot of this stuff has been very much macro driven. There's a lot of macro fear, especially for the stock market, as it has to do with the tariff stuff that's going on. But the interesting thing is during this week so far, the S&P 500 has actually broken down lower and has made lower lows, while Bitcoin is still well above the low from last week. So they are very much correlated, of course, but we're kind of seeing Bitcoin and a lot of the alts as well. Maybe they have sold off much faster than the stock market has. It doesn't mean that the stock market continues down that Bitcoin and the alts can't go down further. But in the past, we have seen Bitcoin and crypto sell off faster than the stock market and find its bottom. If you go back to 2020, Bitcoin and the crypto space pretty much found its bottom almost a week or so before. If you overlay this, you look at this. This was 2 full weekly candles prior that Bitcoin found its bottom, and then the stock market found its bottom afterwards. And obviously, Bitcoin and crypto went down a lot further, but because Bitcoin and crypto run 24/7, the selling can expedite and happen faster. So even if the stock market is maybe looking for another leg down here, perhaps breaking down a little bit further, there is a case to be made that perhaps that Bitcoin and crypto have found their low, and we're just now kind of waiting for the stock market to find its low before it starts to rebound to help the entire market as a whole to move back upward. Another example in recent history where crypto found its bottom before the stock market did was in the bear market actually of 2022. If you look here, this was June of 2022. This was essentially the low for all the alts except for Bitcoin. This marked the bottom, and it did come back down and retest it back in November of 2022 after the FTX crash, but it held it right there. It actually didn't even go below the low right here, while the stock market continued to go downward and found its low many, many months after crypto found its bottom. So there is very much a history of crypto kind of finding its bottom faster than the stock market. So if the stock market does decide to take another leg down, there is a decent possibility that crypto will be able to weather the storm kind of and maybe end up holding. If you enjoy my content and you want to support my channel, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube. I also have a Patreon where I do frequent videos during the week. I also have a Patreon chat where you can ask me any type of question. I usually get back pretty fast. I also have 2 referral links for Coinbase and Gemini. They can be found here in the description below. The Gemini referral link gives you $75 of crypto of your choice when you trade or spend $100 of crypto. So if you're interested and want to support the channel, check out those links below. Now we'll close up with looking at Ethereum and then Bitcoin dominance. So Ethereum, we discussed in the last video, has essentially been in a year-long bear market as well as many other altcoins. The high for a lot of these coins, including Ethereum, was March of 2024. It's now March of 2025, and it's finding new lows. So Ethereum really needs to hold this structure right here. It can't lose the support. If it lost the support, price targets such as 1,500 or even 1,100 would come into play over the coming weeks or months. But I would say for Ethereum and a lot of these alts, most bear markets for crypto last a year. So this is now in a year-long bear market. So it's probably much, much closer to the end of its bear market than the start of it. This isn't starting a bear market. This is kind of realizing that for the past year, it has been in a bear market. We didn't know that until it made the lower low below this August low back here. But now that we know, at this point, it's probably close, right? A year is a long time for a bear market for crypto. That's like what we typically have seen. And Ethereum is just experiencing it. This also essentially means that crypto is changing, right? Bitcoin has been in a bull market for the past year, while Ethereum has been in a bear market. So this isn't something that we have seen before. In all the prior cycles when Bitcoin was in a bull market, Ethereum and the rest of the alts were also in a bull market. And then when Bitcoin was in a bear market, everything else was in a bear market. But this is the first time where Bitcoin was in a bull market, while Ethereum and many alts have been in a bear market. So things are definitely changing in the whole crypto space. So things are actually changing now. And really, even if you go back to earlier in the cycle, right? Ethereum actually bottomed way before Bitcoin did. This was June of 2022. Bitcoin didn't bottom until November of 2022. So Ethereum actually started its bull market or its uptrend earlier than Bitcoin. While Bitcoin was in a bear market during this time frame, Ethereum was already starting its actual bull market. So things are definitely changing, right? We're seeing Ethereum in a bear market while Bitcoin was in a bull market. And then we also saw Ethereum in a bull market while Bitcoin was in a bear market earlier in 2022. So this would certainly leave the possibility that whenever Bitcoin decides to enter its bear market, it doesn't mean that ETH also has to enter a bear market as well. As we also saw, like I said, in 2022, ETH was in a bull market while Bitcoin was in a bear market. So it's possible ETH can be in a bull market while Bitcoin is in a bear market. And now we'll wrap this up with Bitcoin dominance. So Bitcoin dominance, as we know, has been in a strong uptrend for the past few years. But recently, every single time Bitcoin dominance has pushed up, it seems to sell off. And currently, you can make a case, right, that this is currently sitting on this support and it's retesting this support. And because it's in an uptrend, it favors a continuation. However, with that said, over the past month, bearish divergence on the weekly time frame has formed and confirmed. So this is pretty much the best shot that Bitcoin dominance has had in years of breaking down. We also saw the largest wick since the 2020 top here. This is when the alt started to run. So we'll continue to watch this and we'll see which direction this ends up choosing. It has been kind of going sideways since early February. Really, the only way for this to confirm a trend change at any point would be to make a lower low. And the last low was down here. This was around 54.7%. It would need to break below that to confirm any sort of trend change. So if you enjoy this content, make sure to follow and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not and you're watching on Twitter, make sure to follow me on YouTube. I post all the videos there first. And I appreciate all the support, and I will see you guys in the next video.